On the left here, as both of these players are set up and getting ready to begin the 6th round of action, and of course the first round here in Dallas, Texas for this regional championship stream. We see the prizes start to be laid out. We see a very similar list from both of these players. Both of these players are going to be playing nearly identical strategies. Now the thing is, who's going to get going faster? These turns are going to be very important. You really do not want to stumble at the beginning of this game.
Yeah, so like you said, these lists are very similar. There's maybe 2 to 3 cards difference depending. You see Grant actually plays a 2/2 Weavile GX line. It's really just, this card is really good. So if I get it out, I have a higher chance of winning.
And speaking of Grant, it looks like Grant's going to be going second as Shaman for Connor here has a Darkness Energy attached to it, and that is the end of Connor's first turn, which means Grant now can potentially even win this game on the first turn for himself. It looks like he's going for the Ultra Ball, discards a couple of Dark Energies. He starts to show Connor the deck as almost as in saying, I have you already, I think, maybe?
Well, so it's interesting here. This deck is very easy to get out a Darkrai GX turn 1 and deal 130 to the active. It's almost guaranteed as long as you have some semblance of a setup. You have 4 Dark Patches and 4 Max Elixir in your deck to accelerate energy. The Darkrai accelerates the energy on itself.
Right.
But so you have to get it. You have to get it in the discard.
All right. So energy attached to Sneasel. Now, Dedenne will come down, and there it is. That means we're going to start to see 6 new cards here for Grant. Can Grant get the turn 1 victory? Remember, we said these decks do not want to stumble, and that's exactly what Connor's deck just did. Battle Compressor out of Grant is going to mean that he's going to start getting those Darkrai GXs into that discard pile where they want to be and start coming back from that discard with that restoration ability to get themselves going already. If he can get a turn 1 knockout on the Shaman, it's over, and Grant will be up 1-0.
Yeah, and you see him eyeing down that Professor Sycamore. He got that Versus Seeker off that Dead A change, so he'll be able to continue to dig for those Dark Patches or Max Elixir. He really just needs 1.
It looks like he already has 2 Darkness Energies in the discard pile, so he's not looking to get another one down quite yet. Instead, he just kind of wants to thin the deck a tiny bit, and of course, like you said, get that supporter into the discard pile so that he can get it back with that Versus Seeker.
Yeah, and he also discards that Guzzlord GX. It's one of the things that Grant and his testing group have decided that it's pretty good inclusion in this deck that most people kind of forgot about. It's GX tech being able to take 2 extra prizes if you have the requisite energy.
There's the Versus Seeker. That means another Darkness Energy hits the discard pile. And 7 new cards here for Grant. Does Grant find the turn 1 KO? It really should not be too difficult here, but it doesn't seem like his hand has it.
Yeah, it was awkward because he actually started with a Max Elixir and a Dark Patch in his hand, but had a Dead change it away because he could get the Darkrai GX with the Ultra Ball, but no way to put it in the discard, so you really just lose out on an energy that way.
So now it looks like Grant is eyeing down 1 more Ultra Ball here. He could go for, I mean, he could theoretically go for like a Shaman or something like that, but reality, and he looks like he might. He really wants to get that turn 1 victory. Remember, Connor didn't even play his supporter, so it looks like even if Grant misses here, Connor may just have to hope that the top of his deck helps him out, because otherwise this could be a very quick first game.
Yeah, so with the energy attachment to the active Sneasel, he does need to rely on another Dark Patch or Max Elixir. I think he has 1 Dark Patch in his hand, so we'll see the Restoration attached to energy, Dark Patch there.
So there's Restoration, there's Dark Patch. That's 2 energy now. We're going to need 1 more for Darkrai in order to get that turn 1 victory. It looks like the Dene.
You can't Dead A change twice in a turn. He's playing it just so he can get a card
computer search.
out.
That's going to mean we're going to see another Dark Patch, I believe, if we have it in the deck. It looks like Connor actually just scooped, so we're not even going to have to see it. Grant actually is going to win this first game because of that computer search, going to find the final resource he needed, which of course was going to be a Dark Patch, and that is going to mean Game 1 goes to Grant Manley.
Not bad. First time Grant's on stream this weekend and finishes a 5-minute game.
Okay, well, that is what can happen here. Like we said, these decks get going fast. We got to see a turn 1 victory here for Grant, which means, I mean, Connor's got his back against the wall. He's got to win 2 games in a row now, but in reality, that was just what you wanted to avoid. We said it. You cannot stumble against Turbo Dark. You cannot stumble as Turbo Dark. These decks need to get going fast, and when you don't have a good hand, like, the deck is just unforgiving.
Yeah, and that's why we play best 2 out of 3 here. It really helps you mitigate those draws where it's like, yeah, I can't do anything in my hand. Like, it seemed like Connor's hand was Guzma, a couple Dark Patches, maybe an energy, And he's like, yeah, I just have to attach to this Shaman and hope you don't have it. And we know Grant did.
Not much you can do there if you're Connor. So, of course, Connor Finton down 1-0, but he does get to go first here if he so chooses against Grant, and that's going to mean that he's got to win 2 games in a row. If he doesn't, then Grant will be going to 6-0.
All right, well, it looks like Connor's hand here is a little bit better. There is a Battle Compressor as well as a Dowsing Machine. So,
okay,
not too great, but he is able to maybe something like Dowsing Machine for a supporter to get going. Dark Patch in his hand as well.
Right, Max Elixir in his hand as well, but it doesn't look like he has any Pokemon to Max Elixir onto quite yet. Now, we see these prizes come down for both players.
Yeah, you see the Guzzlord and the Rangaroo in the prizes for Grant there. They're
interesting
both
reverse value. Yeah.
Yeah, and the reverse value is it's paired with the Guzzlord GX, sure. So you're able to take knockouts on Shamans and stuff like that because he only does 100.
Yep, that's correct. So these prizes do seem to be at least a little bit irrelevant as of right now, but Battle Compressor is going to be the way Connor kicks off Game 2. These players are just getting going really fast right now. It looks like we may have a very quick match, honestly, in this round 6, as Battle Compressor does bring down that Juniper, as well as a Darkness Energy, and of course, that Darkrai GX. That Dowsing Machine can find that Juniper if Connor needs to. And it looks like, first of all, Connor's going to restore this Darkrai GX before playing the Dowsing Machine, finds that Juniper, and now... okay, so he discarded the Darkness Energy through that Dowsing Machine, so now he's going to be able to use that Dark Patch, and finally a Max Elixir. Okay.
So Connor's showing Grant how to do it with 3 cards instead of like 20.
No kidding. He doesn't need to bench so many weaker Pokemon in order to get this kind of a start going. That's just a very powerful start here out of Connor, as not only does he get 3 energy in play, but he also has a Juniper to draw himself 7 new cards.
Yeah, and so there is the Juniper.
Man, Ace Specs are powerful cards.
Yeah, and like I said, they've been around for 9 years.
They truly have been, and they're still as powerful as ever, if not more powerful. And now we're seeing a Trainer's Mail. Trainer's Mail will look through the top 4 cards of Connor's deck and pick any 1 item card there.
In a sense, Ace Specs can play in the junior division.
For a little bit longer, yeah. And then they're gone. Then they're going to seniors.
Yeah, it'll be good.
All right, Battle Compressor. Another Battle Compressor, finding another Darkness and another Darkrai GX. We've been there.
Yeah, that's the 3rd one from Connor here. He actually discarded the 2nd one off that Dowsing Machine just so he can have enough cards in his hand.
What a perfect card to play on turn 1, too. Like, really, Battle Compressor is one of the main components of this deck.
I think it honestly defines at least half of the decks in the format.
Sure.
If you think about it, ever since it came out, it's always been paired with something like Night March. And then these Darkrai decks where you have Dark Patch and all that stuff. They're even featured in Ho-Oh EX decks. And then, of course, Mewtwo, Perfection.
Now, I believe he just attached from his hand onto that Darkrai GX before passing the turn over. So that's 5 energy in play for Connor as he passes the turn over to Grant, who just has a lowly Sneasel in play. But now we're going to get to see if Grant can match the aggression out of Connor. And remember, because he goes second, he's going to be able to get the first attack in. Of course, getting a knockout on Mew, not the greatest. It's a single prize Pokemon, but still, you get to get going ahead. Now the problem is, once you take your first prize, that means your opponent gets to actually counterattack and potentially get rid of a lot of energy in play for you. So you kind of have to play this game of cat and mouse.
Yeah, in this mirror match specifically, you really want to end your turn 1, with a 1 prize attacker in the active spot, just because it really swings the matchup.
Sure. Hypnotoxic Laser played by Grant, and Tails means that Mew is still awake, but now poisoned. Now, it looks like we have a Battle Compressor at a Grant, potentially. Battle Compressor is, once again, the key card to play here early on, as it lets you really get your discard pile going. Not only lets you play supported cards into your discard pile for future versus Seekers, but of course it also lets you get Darkness Energies and Darkrai. Man, Darkness Energy and Darkrai GX, there we go, into your discard pile.
It's your first time. You'll get it. You'll get it.
I'm a rookie. All right, so Dark is coming down onto the discard pile for that Battle Compressor, as well as that Darkrai GX. Now, a 3rd card can also be found, kind of thin the deck a tiny bit.
Yeah, so the big thing to point out here with Grant's turn compared to Connor's turn, Grant is going to be able to hopefully take a knockout, he will need to find a couple more energy and then a way to get the Sneasel out of the active spot. But if he does that, having that Sneasel down to evolve into a Weavile GX next turn is really big, and it allows you to switch between your various attackers in his deck.
The third card Grant actually found was a Guzma, so it looked like he was debating between just kind of thinning the deck out of a card that he felt like he wasn't going to need, or going for an important supporter card, which, you know, of course, getting rid of the supporter card means you can't play it from your hand, but then it really makes it so that it's a lot easier to play through the Versus Seekers. So a big choice there from Grant as he chose to get rid of that Guzma.
Ooh.
And now fills up the bench a tiny bit and then decides to set up for I believe 5 new cards. 4 new cards.
Yeah, he had the Weavile GX and the Dedenne GX left over in his hand, but those 4 cards were amazing. There was a Max Elixir, Dark Patch, Computer Search, and then I think Sycamore?
That's what we call the goods. That's really what it comes down to. Those are the perfect cards to find there. And of course, the Max Elixir first card played, want to make sure that you have as many dark energies in your deck as possible for that Max Elixir, so you don't want to thin the deck out before you do so.
So it depends how aggressive Grant wants to get here. He has that Computer Search. He could find something like that Versus Seeker to be able to Guzma and maybe take a knockout on the Darkrai GX this turn. We see that Dark Patch in his hand, but I don't know if he has another Dark in the discard. He does. All right, so that would mean the Greninja Zoroark tag team would be able to take deal 180 damage and take the knockout on Darkrai GX.
It's currently dealing 150, so he's going to need one additional Dark Source.
The Dark Patch in his hand.
And that would be the Dark Patch right there. So once again, you're dealing 30 plus 30 more for each Dark Energy in play. So if you have 4 Dark Energies in play, you're dealing 150. If you have that 5th and very crucial Dark Energy, you're then dealing 180, which is enough to knock out the Darkrai GX. So if he does have that Dark Patch in hand, we're probably going to be seeing that Versus Seeker. There's the Versus Seeker that almost positively means that Dark Patch is there, and sure it is. Sure enough, there it is. And now Versus Seeker going to find a Guzma. That's going to mean 3 energy off the field here for Connor. Wow, 2 spectacular first turns in a row for Grant Manley here.
Yeah, it's pretty insane to think about, and he had the foresight. Well, it's going to be pretty hard to retreat this Sneasel, especially if I don't have Darkrai EX in play. So I'm going to put that Guzma in. Maybe I'll draw a Versus Seeker, got the Computer Search, and was able to take that knockout.
Interestingly enough, the Mew is now the active Pokemon here for Connor. If you're Connor, you really want to get a return knockout on the Zoroark tag team. What you have to do is then find a Hypnotoxic Laser and find a 3rd energy. So what he's doing is promoting the Mew first, then playing the Max Elixir. It looks like the Max Elixir actually missed.
Yeah, that was pretty rough.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the contents of his hand are here, but the reality is that this has to be a huge turn for Connor if he really wants to swing the swing everything back in his own favor.
Yeah, and so Grant has 4 prizes now, so that N will put him down to 4 cards. So a little disruption here for Connor, but he's going to need the laser and an energy off this N.
Well, and a way to retreat the Mew, right?
Mew has free retreat.
Oh, of course. Now, there's the laser. Does he have a darkness energy?
I don't think he does, but he has a Shaman to possibly refill his hand and try to get there.
It looks like he does have a Shaman, so he's going to be able to draw 4 new cards. Will he find a dark energy? Looks like he does on the final card. The final card, of course, is going to be that darkness energy perfectly placed, as now, of course, that Mew is going to be able to retreat, and we are going to see a knockout on Dedenne GX, well, with Dedenne GX on Grant's the Zoroark tag team, which means we're going to now see 3 prizes taken from Connor, kind of going to swing the momentum back in his own favor. Now, does Connor have a return knockout? Really, this is just such a back and forth matchup, and you, like we said, you cannot stumble in this matchup.
Yeah, so one thing we might see here as well, Ultra Ball discarding another Ultra Ball and a Cherish Ball, man. But Weavile GX will come down this turn, and it'll allow Grant to kind of maneuver around what he wants to do.
So that Weavile GX will come into play as that Sneasel was in play to start the turn. Now,
yeah,
there's only 2 energy in play, 3 energy in play here for Grant, as opposed to the 5 that he had in play last turn. He's already used a lot of resources to get to where he is. So can Grant return a knockout? That's going to be so hard to pull off.
Well, he only needs one more energy right now. Hasn't attached for the turn. So
He also-
the Weavile GX coming down, the Guzzlord GX with Tyrannical Hole actually does 180 damage. So that's exactly enough to knock out this Darkrai GX that Connor has in the active spot.
Does he have the 5th energy, though? Oh, there's the
There's
Sycamore.
yeah.
So Sycamore will potentially find it. And there it is. There's that 5th energy you were talking about. So like we said, you cannot stumble, and he is not. He's actually found exactly what he needs in order to leave Connor with no energy in play and himself with only 2 prizes remaining.
Yeah, this is a pretty insane start from Grant these past 2 games. And it really just, this is what the deck can do when you draw everything you need.
There's no Darkrai EX for Grant to actually retreat the Guzzlord GX.
Well,
but I don't think
he's
you want
attacking
to
with the
anyway.
Guzzlord
Right.
this
I don't think you want to anyway. I just saw the Hypnotoxic Laser, and I figured he might be able to make a case for using Dead End GX instead.
No, I think he's going to try to finish off. It depends if he gets the Reverse Valley from the prizes, but he might try to finish off with Glutton GX. Oh, no, he has the Mew to Glutton.
Oh, he does have the Mew to Glutton. You're right.
And yeah, especially with that Restoration from that Darkrai GX coming down, there's 6 energy in play now. Tyrannical Hole doing 180 damage, taking the knockout, putting Grant down to 2.
Just enough to knock out that Darkrai GX, and sure enough, there it is. Look at all the energy in the discard pile now here for Connor. Connor has no energy in play.
And the big thing to point out is there's no 3 prizer on Grant's board. So even if Connor has an insane turn and gets 1,000,000 energy in play, Connor cannot win this turn.
Well, that insane turn would have probably meant that he would have needed energy to come down from that Max Elixir, which it didn't. So now with only... how many Dark Patches and Max Elixirs has he already used, you know?
The
he
2 Max
put him to
Elixirs
sleep.
for sure, but I actually misspoke. The Guzzlord is able to take the game here if he gets everything he needs, but it looks like that's not going to be the case.
Well, it looks like he actually put him to sleep, though, with that Hypnotoxic Laser, so that's kind of important, potentially, depending on Grant's hand.
I remember the good old days of, oh yeah, I lost because I stayed asleep on laser.
Yeah, a little bit harder to do now that Guzma's around, but still, it's
Ooh, we actually see
dangerous.
a great catcher here. So if Connor can assemble this Guzzlord on the bench, Great Catcher would be able to take the knockout on Shaman and take 3 prizes and force a game 3 here.
Okay, so what is he going to need? He's got a Dark Patch, which means another energy.
Yeah, so I believe he's already attached for the turn.
I believe so as well.
And so he's going to need 2 more Dark Patches.
He has a Skyfield, which means he's going to be able to bench that Dedenne. He's going to be able to Dede change.
All right, here we go.
All right, he's going to need a
Oh, that is not a
Max
good look.
Elixir. Only 1 Max Elixir. Doesn't have a way to get another energy in play, does he?
Yeah.
He does find that energy, though, with that Max Elixir. The Dream potentially still alive. Has he already played a supporter for the turn?
I believe he played the Sycamore, yeah.
Okay,
or Juniper.
It looks like he did play one of the supporters. Yes, he did. So that he's got to pass the turn. Grant with 2 prizes remaining.
Yeah,
Can he take the? There's the
Guzma.
Versus Seeker. So finds the Guzma. Guzma is going to take the game and the match here for Grant.